Louder with Crowder is brought to you in part by .com. You don't have to be a freeloader your whole life. The good news is that you can support this show and the fight by buying some really cool clothes. .com. Which marks Louder with Crowder's 6th annual Cultural Appropriation Month, where we take you across the globe to learn and appreciate all the diverse cultures this planet has to offer. Because to appropriate is to appreciate. Be our guest this week as we take a trip to the land of sushi, waifus, and animated depravity. Be sure to leave your shoes by the door as we visit the land of the rising sun, Japan!
That was a wonderful sip from the sencha green tea.
Yeah.
Oh. I went full
that was
Cultural Appropriation Month.
Yeah, that was good.
Sencha green tea. This is our first time back on YouTube, Cultural Appropriation Month. Hey, we're going to be taking later on Mug Club your pictures and chats.
Yeah.
And we have winners. We've been doing this for 6 years now.
6 years.
6 years. Our first show back on YouTube, people saying, oh, wait, are they going to come back with Cultural Appropriation Month?
Yes.
That's a yeah.
If you
So, look, before we get into anything, I don't know if it's just my headphones. I'm hearing a little bit of echo. It's probably because it's going through
yeah, I think it's
16 layers of fur.
yeah.
It's the faux leather.
Look, I appreciate everyone here, everyone who's watching on YouTube. We're still on YouTube, right, Quarter Black?
Still up?
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't
okay.
been removed. That's
Still
nice.
up.
Breathing the free air.
But a lot of you don't know, we've still been doing this show every day for 2 weeks. So we haven't been able to stream on YouTube, but we have been doing, and this is just why, before we get into anything else, look, I don't know what's going to happen going forward. We don't have all of our answers from YouTube. I don't want to lose contact with you. I don't want to lose a show on YouTube. None of us here want to be a martyr. We want to do a show, and hundreds of millions of Change My Mind videos being removed because someone in Silicon Valley gets offended, which could be anything. So just don't let us lose touch with you, okay? There are 3 ways that you can still watch anytime there's a break or if that happens in the future. Of course, Mug Club is the best place where you guys can go, right? It's even if you watch on YouTube, Mug Club is another 30 to an hour, really 45 minutes to an hour every single day. You get access to the whole Blaze catalog, $99 a year, $69 for students, veterans, active military. You get this wonderful hand-etched green tea vessel.
It's so beautiful.
Also, but I know that not all of you can afford Mug Club. $99, $69, whatever that averages out to, $7 to $10 a month. So, of course, there's the audio podcast. We're available on Apple, Android, Spotify. You don't see the video there, but we haven't been removed or censored there at all. They're more lenient with non-hate speech. And also, we're really excited, Rumble, right? Yeah. So you can watch this show. Everything that's free on YouTube will still be free, even if it's not on YouTube. You're not a member of Mug Club. Go to Rumble,
Yeah.
And right now it's being uploaded because we can't live stream there in archive, but we're being told from Rumble that that'll be available in the next couple of weeks. And I don't know them personally. Seem like good guys. We've been assured that we will not be censored. We won't be throttled. Look, I think it's important for us to be on all of these big tech platforms because people complain about an echo chamber and then they continue to create an echo chamber.
Right.
That's not what we want. But I also hear a lot of conservatives, a lot of you out there saying we need an alternative. Well, we have a paid alternative with Mug Club. And now there's Rumble. And I'd like to see at least as many of you guys tuning in, watching on Rumble to support them. If you're going to give your dollars to someplace, Rumble is at least trying to do it right. And just please do not let us lose touch with you.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people are asking where to find us when YouTube was banning us, and that is the place. Make sure, even if you don't watch us on Rumble, watch us on YouTube, and if something happens, you have a backup, you're ready to go. Join Mug Club. Those are great options.
And look, YouTube, it does not have to be this way. We don't want it to be this way.
Come on, man.
I understand. We've been reprimanded for laughing.
Yes.
When a transgender individual threw a homeless man's lunchbox at me.
Yeah.
That was considered a violation, not the aggravated assault. And, well, first off, the felony theft in stealing a homeless man's lunchbox.
Right, yeah.
And then throwing it at us. These are the kinds of infractions that we've experienced. We don't know what all these strikes are. So it's stressful. We're back. We're here with you. And hopefully we're here for many years to come. But if not, don't let us lose touch with you. Okay, we have a lot to get to today. Gerald A. is here.
Hi.
Looking tasty. How are you?
Sushi. I love it. I would eat this costume. I almost said something else, and that would
don't say you did.
Everything is no longer. There's no longer land. It's just land mines. Quarter black.
I'm ready to go.
Are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
Very good. You got your methamphetamine in the system.
Yeah.
Whoa! You bring a great honor. And of course, Dave Landau. In which Sailor Moon character are you?
Sailor what?
Ahoy, ahoy.
Ahoy, ahoy.
Yeah. This is wonderful.
I got to be honest, I didn't know we were dressing up today.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
He thought it was bring your daughter /self to work day.
Yes.
He was.
So
we called him in the middle of something. Apparently, Dave, get to the studio. Oh, okay.
Oh, I gotta get my.
I don't know
hair on.
if you know this about dresses, but you're going to want to throw this chair away.
Okay.
Well, we'll flip the cushion.
That's for sure.
Yeah, flip the cushion. I don't know how that works with the
all the way through
the Landau seepage. So we're going to be talking about Fauci today. We're going to have This Week in Biden. We did a segment on Fauci's emails yesterday, but we only had so much time, right? Because we were doing the program in the morning. There's a lot more to it. And I have talked about this before. You guys comment. Let me know. By the way, the best thing you can do here on YouTube right now is share this right now so that as it's streaming live, you don't miss it. You hit that, hit the share button, hit the like button, and anything we're talking about today, we will be discussing with you. You can hit the comments. Just comment. You don't see me doing this like a lot of people are like, hey guys, what did you think? Comment below. It actually ends up being a conversation, but right now we have to make sure that the algorithms work because we need to ensure that in the future for us, they continue to not work.
Gotta get them interactions up.
So it is. We're going to be talking about Fauci. I think it's the biggest scandal of our lifetime.
Huge.
I think it's big. Watergate was basically bugging someone's phone.
Yeah.
That's effectively what it boils down to. They do that to American citizens every day.
And Forrest Gump found it.
Yes, Forrest Gump found it after he had to pee from Dr. Pepper. I don't know if it's historically accurate. Zemeckis is a problem. But the point here is...
got to have the facts to back it up.
Got to have the facts to back it up. I don't even know what I was talking about. It's the biggest. I do think it's the biggest scandal. Fauci. I really do, because this is the only. It's not a conspiracy. When you look through the emails and you look at the public policy and you look at the policy of Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, it all lines up to the letter that they were working. The term colluding doesn't necessarily mean something nefarious.
Yeah.
In this case, it's just accurate. Look, you had emails being exchanged between Zuckerberg and Fauci, international virologists and Fauci. You had him saying one thing on air and discussing something else in emails. So we're going to put it together to you, not only the emails, you probably read those, but a timeline that shows you exactly what he was saying publicly while these emails were going on. That's what matters, because what he told you, he didn't necessarily believe.
Yeah.
I'm not attributing motive. I'm reading motive. So before we get to that, though, it is Cultural Appropriation Month, because to appropriate is to appreciate. So some quick Japan facts. Japan, I don't know if you know this, has more than 50,000 centenarians, with the island of Okinawa, where Tokunawans ancestors are from, containing the highest concentration of centenarians in the world.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, what is that?
And they
People
smoke
over
a
100
lot.
years old.
And they smoke cigarettes.
They do.
Yeah.
I get it.
Centenarian.
Centenarian.
It's
Get
a
it
big
now.
word. Sorry.
Yeah, and there was
like them
a,
smokes.
I think the oldest man in the world for a while was there in Okinawa. He was 112, and then he suicided. But people suspected his very competitive 111-year-old best friend.
That's true.
Historians
Stab me in the back.
Great shame.
Historians, great shame. Historians and scholars say that kamikazes, actually, this is something we know about kamikazes,
Right. Yeah.
But we've been taught that they killed themselves on purpose. Turns out they were just really bad pilots. Yeah, that's something
yeah,
we didn't
that's
know.
true. That
They don't
happens a
teach you in the
lot.
textbooks.
Yeah.
Where's the 1619 for that?
Truth.
In the film, this is something that's really, you like this. In the film Mr. Baseball, Tom Selleck, of course, is an American League baseball player who gets traded to a Japanese team, the
Right.
Dragons.
Yeah.
The team ends up living on the streets. This is what happens. People don't know this in the original version because he traded their houses for reverse mortgages. So there you go.
wow.
Yeah, that makes
Japan
really
fact.
sad ending.
It's a really sad ending.
Hey, this is not my first rodeo.
They trust him the whole movie.
They trust him way too much.
And then at the
All the
end,
way
they're
to the
left
end.
with nothing.
They're left
Yeah.
with nothing except, all I have is this CD-ROM that says, my home belongs to government.
Picture of Mr. Baseball on it.
You said this was for my own benefit.
Is that a big avocado farmer money?
Did you know that Tom Selleck got caught stealing water for his avocado farm?
Did you really?
When there was a drought in California?
Oh, he's like,
That makes me love him.
And
That
doesn't
actually
even
does.
like avocados.
Doesn't even like
That's what you
avocados.
told me, which I love even
What a
more.
business man.
He just did it to poke his finger in their chest like Rahm Emanuel in the shower, but he does the reverse mortgages. So you give it, the good Tom Selleck giveth and taketh away.
Yeah.
That does suck a little bit.
Yeah. So, all right. Here, this is something we need to talk about. Yesterday, former Vice President Joe Biden announced a new plan to start vaccinating at black-owned barbershops.
Oh, really?
I love
Not
how
funny.
whenever Joe Biden starts talking, it's kind of like Steven Seagal, where one decade he's black, one decade
Yeah.
he's Italian. Like, you know which series or films Joe Biden's been watching.
Yeah, makes sense.
He's clearly on Barbershop 2. But then he really
So
struggled.
right to Ice Cube.
So he gave you that, and then he really struggled to remember how many months he'd been in office. So this brings us to This Week in Biden.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black. In the spirit of meeting people where they are, we'll also be working with the Black Coalition Against COVID and other organizations to launch a new initiative called Shots at the Shop. Barbershops, beauty shops are hubs of activity and information in black and brown communities in particular, but in many communities across the nation. Local barbers, stylists, they become key advocates for vaccinations in their communities. Since January 20, and we're talking now about 15 months ago, the average daily cases are down from 184,000. If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Bro.
Remember when we thought Dan Quayle was silly?
Oh, wow. It's
Shots at the barber?
We're going to have an ice cream truck with a guy named Big Worm.
Yeah.
And he's going to be giving out shots
Yeah.
Yeah.
to people who's smoking dope. They like dope.
And we're going to be selling new Nikes with the vaccine, the vial in there. Nas, he's going to sell them.
Yeah, he's little.
He started it 18 years ago. So it went back when I was, president. What are you talking? The fact that nobody even discusses how this man has completely lost it. It's sad.
Right.
No one's looking out for him. They should be. They're family members.
Absolutely. And I always trust my stylist for medical advice. That's,
Yes.
that's the person that I tend to go to. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, should I get
Yeah.
this vaccine today? Well, I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
You
Eddie-
also call a barber a stylist, so you're not my
Well,
friend anymore.
yeah, exactly.
Out of the barbershop.
I don't think he realizes
Yeah.
how much that would offend actual barbers.
Oh, it would.
You would immediately, you'd be like, all right, give me a number 4 and take 2 inches off the top. I'm like, all right, I got you. Thanks, you're a great stylist. Number 1? I thought you said reverse skunk, though.
Yeah. I'm going to make you look like the skinhead you actually are, apparently.
Oh, come on. You know the thing. A really,
Beauty shop with Queen Latifah.
Queen Latifah.
Gonna
Yeah,
give
it
you
was a
vaccine.
sequel.
she made it as she was started with nothing as a taxi driver.
In the
What are we
movie
doing?
Taxi Driver.
With Jimmy Fallon.
Yes.
They struggled. The brown stylist.
You know the thing.
So this is one thing too I want to discuss really quickly. The the violations that we were told here on YouTube before we move on to Fauci, we didn't really get clear answers. So you guys know about the one with where we praised the cop for defending a life with Mekhi Bryant.
Yeah.
But the other ones, we were told that we went, from what I understand, it wasn't specific, against either World Health Organization guidelines or the CDC.
Right.
And I want to admit fault with something. This is just me being totally transparent. We issue retractions. We issue corrections. I feel like I have to do this before we move on with the show. Yeah. I did go against the CDC precisely twice. Okay. Now you can determine if you think that's permissible, if you think critical thinking is allowed, if you think criticism is allowed, or if you think these need to be banned for misinformation. So I'll tell you the exact two instances where I went against the CDC. One was early on in the pandemic when Fauci and the CDC were saying, don't wear masks, they don't do anything. We actually showed you on this show how to create a mask at home, along with actually a friend's company, Jocko Willink, Origin, Maine. Right. And we said masks don't necessarily help you from inhaling the virus, but it may prevent others from becoming sick. So at the point when the CDC said no masks, they're more dangerous than not wearing masks, I did go against their guidelines and say, in some cases, masks can be appropriate in a limited capacity. Right. And here's a tale of the tape back then. You know what else? People were saying, well, don't try and make masks at home, right? With T-shirts or with whatever fabrics you have. They're saying that's not going to work. Except I looked online and said, well, I don't know, maybe there is a way to make a mask at home. But I searched how to make an at-home mask that might, at the very least, be passable, provide some benefit. And the study came back saying that actually a T-shirt, multi blend, like poly cotton blend, I guess helps, and it was more effective than a plain cotton T-shirt, or an antimicrobial pillow were about 70-something% effective at filtration and almost entirely effective at blocking droplets.
So learning how to do the ninja
But guess where I found that? The CDC or FDA. I was looking, these were the guidelines that conducted these studies. And now said, no, don't wear a mask, because at the time it wasn't about whether they work, it was about shortages for healthcare workers. Yeah. So keep in mind, during that moment, we said, maybe masks can help. Now, I don't know how I got it right and Fauci got it wrong, but again, this is what matters. When you say, number two, where did I go against the CDC, really the World Health Organization, which is impermissible. It's policy. I did suggest last year, early on, that the virus could have leaked from a lab. And that was borderline, and that was demonetized in Flight 2. So there are precisely 2 times. So I want to be clear, when people talk about censorship, they want to tell you that it's all about Pizzagate and Sandy Hook hoaxes. Right, No. Look, we were punished for saying things like, actually, sometimes masks. Fauci said no masks ever. I said, well, maybe sometimes, never. No masks. Nothing. Nothing. And then he said, came from nature. We said, isn't it possible that maybe it came from a lab? Nothing. No possibility. That's the reason that this show has been removed and has been targeted. So that's why I say it's not really about us. It's about all of you out there. It's about everyone out there. They don't want your views here on the. And we're about to. Is that the Godzilla alarm?
I think it is. Yeah.
Hi, Stephen. As you can hear, the Godzilla alarm is going off, and we have a situation. If you'll follow me, I'll give you a few tips on what to do. So here's what you want to do. Shoo, Godzilla! Shoo!
Oh, well, I don't know how they. They live under the thumb.
I don't.
Of Godzilla.
You've never seen the movie.
Godzilla.
He's a hero.
What you meant to say is you've never seen a good Godzilla movie.
Excuse me, Matthew Broderick.
Matthew Broderick.
Hello.
That was the worst.
That's a lot of
horrible.
fish.
You know, Matthew Broderick that film is actually when I learned what bad writing was. Before I move on, this is a true story.
I remember this.
So I've told this story before. Anyone remember? You guys, you can just comment. Do you remember the Godzilla film with Matthew Broderick and Hank Azaria? Remember when they're caught in I think it was a train or a bus?
Yeah.
And they're in the car, and Godzilla's trying to eat them, and they're stuck. Right? It's over.
Right.
But then Matthew Broderick has an idea. Not cheating on Sarah Jessica Parker. He has an idea. And
not that one.
He turns.
He's not behind the wheel of a car.
No.
Yeah, that's also a bad idea.
And he says, I think I have an idea. And he turns and goes, this thing have high beams and they turn on the high beams on the car, and Godzilla, this prehistoric monster is like, it's bright.
It's a little bright.
And they escape. And I turned to my dad, and I said, what are high beams?
Oh, good.
He said, high beams, it's just like a brighter light like you use at dark night. I'm like, oh, okay, so some cars, he goes, all cars have them. I go, well, then why would he need to ask? He goes, it's lazy writing. They all have them.
Yes.
Of course it is.
And then I realized, they were looking for a one-liner.
Yeah.
They couldn't hire a writer who could create a one-liner. So this thing have high beams like all moving vehicles.
They also sat around like, how are we going to beat this monster? It's like, I don't know, does the car bright light?
Yeah.
All right, so guys,
Doesn't
on
matter.
the scene, they're stuck in a train. Godzilla's about to eat them. How do they get away?
Yeah, that would have changed the whole film if at the beginning, like, what's going on? That Japanese guy down by the wharf going, Gojira, just to use a lantern.
It's a bright light.
16
So he's trying to say with the fire in the early
We
part of
should
the
have
movie.
used Right House.
Just to take a mason jar with a twinkle light. Red as rain. Gojira. Okay.
He hates it.
He's not very formidable as an opponent now.
By the way, what are they doing right now? Okay, they're talking about shootings on CNN. Lovely. That's always
New
what
York
they
Times,
do.
Maggie Haberman
But you know
writes,
what they were
quote,
talking
Trump has
about
been telling
earlier
a number of people-
on CNN? Not the Fauci emails, which we'll get to in a second.
No.
They actually, and this is how fake news starts, how it happens. I was in the shower, and I always listen to CNN when I'm getting ready. I don't
I
have
was
much time in
there.
the morning. Yeah.
Way to go.
Mandatory costume, though. Let's make sure it has to be all portions of the costume. You can't just put on the wig. Don't be lazy
No.
with it.
No, I go all out.
So on CNN, I heard them
can go
saying
all
this,
in.
and I thought, they're saying this. I had not heard this, but maybe there was something that I missed.
Yeah.
They said that Donald Trump was egging on followers, saying that he could be reinstated
Right, that was his claim.
in August. Let me show you the
they
clip. This
said.
was this morning on CNN.
The New York Times, Maggie Haberman writes, quote, Trump has been telling a number of people he's in contact with that he expects he'll get reinstated by August. New York Times reporter Maggie Haberman joins us now. She's a Washington correspondent for the Times and a CNN political analyst. Maggie, I have to say, when you wrote that, my eyes popped. I was stunned.
Really,
the former
John?
president is telling people he expects to be reinstated by August. What's going on here?
What's your source? Ink on my
So,
fingernail.
John, what he's doing is echoing things that are being said by Sidney Powell, who was his lawyer, although, he distanced himself from her at certain points over the final months of the administration, but she was helping advise him on these efforts to overturn the election last year.
Let it never be said that social distancing holds no value. Want a yardstick.
Just
now,
visual distance.
here's the thing here. I thought, okay, Donald Trump maybe shot from the hip. Donald Trump maybe said something. No, nothing. There's no basis for it. Look, if you look at that thing on CNN, I don't know if we can even bring it up as a still.
She tweeted it.
She tweeted it.
Oh.
They actually
Fact.
don't have any sources mentioned, any sources list, no screenshots at all. You can bring, I don't know if we can bring it up as a freeze frame or anything. No screenshots of any possible Trump press statements.
Nope.
I looked for them.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm wrong, you guys correct me, and not even in according to anonymous sources. Edit. It's just that broad in the polka dots.
That's it.
Yeah, and
Who
then,
tweeted it,
That's
though?
it.
That girl or
Yes.
the one that looks like Indiana Jones' ugly wife?
Yes. Yes, it was
Maggie
the
Haberman.
junk
Yeah.
Muppet lady from Labyrinth.
Okay, just
Yeah,
wanted
she
to...
said, Donald Trump
clarify.
tweeted this, and you need your Betsy Boo, your Betsy. That's who
Exactly.
tweeted it.
Just a smorgasbord of nonsense-looking people.
It really
so
is.
is this
at
how
CNN.
journalism works now? You say that people that Donald Trump knows, he said something to them, I
Yeah.
tweeted it, and therefore
You
it's
tweet it out,
That's
then it
the
makes
quote.
it
Literally,
fact.
I looked at every different news source that I could find, even local news stations that were covering this. Everyone quoted her tweet, and that was it.
Yeah, and by the way,
nobody asked the question.
The Podesta email leak in 2016. Why am I saying the whole?
Whoa, that's weird.
I'm really getting into cultural appropriation.
2016.
2016. In 2016, the Podesta emails and the WikiLeaks.
Yeah.
They showed that Haberman was a Clinton political operative.
Oh.
So you can go. We have again.
That helps.
All of the sources are available at louderwithcrowder.com. Everything we talk about. If you don't like the sources, leave a comment. Tell us that we're wrong, but we make them publicly available to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another reason that YouTube can't stand us.
And CNN, they don't like that we have sources.
Yeah.
No.
So this is a perfect example, right? We get a strike.
Yeah.
And I don't want to make, but you guys, all kinds of people out there get strikes. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter removed anyone who said, might be a
Yeah.
Wuhan lab leak, right? Might be a leak from a lab. Removed. CNN, who, by the way, are considered authoritative sources by big tech platforms.
Yeah.
Politico, Washington Post, Snopes, they're included. There's no accountability there. Do you think, hey, can someone search, we'll bring this up later, can someone search to Washington Post, Snopes, PolitiFact? How many Pinocchios did that get?
It's not going to get any. Come on.
Washington Post did 50,000 from Donald Trump for things like where he said, my pool is 25 feet, like it's actually 24.8. They did all of these fact checks.
Right.
That is an entirely fabricated story. We can verify it. Guarantee you that clip won't count as a strike against CNN. And you'll wonder why people think there are rules for the elites and there are rules for you. I'm telling you, that's how it works. And it's not just government. The biggest concern right now is big tech in bed with government. That is shameful.
Yeah, and Maggie's basically what she's pushing out there. You say, okay, well, it's dangerous enough on its own. But what CNN and everybody else is doing is saying, thank God Trump is not on Twitter or Facebook, because this is a call to violence.
Right.
This is a call that led to the same situation we had on January 6th.
Right.
Thank God they're getting him off this. Like, the very first question that you ask when it's an unnamed source, is this a source close to the president? Is this somebody in the inner circle? Like, don't you try to drill down knowing you won't get a name necessarily because it's anonymous, but you're like, I want to make this as solid as possible. No questions whatsoever.
Just as silly as QAnon, where they're like someone who they believe is close to the president. Well, you just quoted someone who we know was close to the runner-up president.
Yeah. And you even had to say this all came from Sidney Powell, right? Say Sidney Powell is echoing this, and that's probably where Donald Trump got it. And she had to say, yes, he distanced himself from her, but they've got to still be close, right?
Yeah.
I got misgendered on the airplane.
It happens a lot.
I know it's not to do with the
I told
topic.
you you're not allowed to take the outfit from the studio. That's a business expense. You should see the dry cleaning bills.
Oh, geez.
All right. So also,
you should.
the COVID pandemic, by the way, really disrupted the fast food industry, not only here, but in Japan. As we know now, automation, we talked about this yesterday, the American dream. It's actually Americans also not working, which is sort of forcing automation, not the other way around. But now in Japan, this is a trend that a lot of people don't know, cultural differences. You know, used panty vending machines have popped up all over the country. Yeah, it's a thing that actually happens in Japan.
I own many.
And we actually, I think we
Machines.
got one here in the office, right?
Oh, no, not exactly. It's kind of more of a deposit.
So we the panty vending machine?
It's more of like a receptacle of sorts.
You put panties in the vending machine?
Yeah.
But it's not the same at all. Well, if we had an HR department, that would be a violation.
Yeah, well.
Whatever gets his rocks off.
We go on that. Look, I had no idea Tokunawan. Tokunawan, by the way, is the actual guy who's a quarter Japanese.
Yeah.
Look at that outfit there. Is that a fan in it?
Yeah.
That's
He looks like E Honda. Can you give us the E Honda? Can you give us the E Honda hand slap? People listening on audio have no idea how funny that is.
That's pretty hilarious.
Isn't they put a geisha on top of them to breed, right? Isn't that for real?
On top of what?
A sumo.
A sumo?
Like a sumo lays there and they put a geisha on.
It's not a panda.
I don't think that's how it works.
I think they want
Is it not true?
I think there's probably some truth to it, Dave.
I'm pretty sure that sumos get their pick of the litter because they're considered certainly part of the upper class.
Well, that's what I mean,
true,
but you don't want a sumo on top of a geisha.
No, you're right.
Well, yeah, you want it the other way
they're
around,
probably
but I
pretty
think they'll
careful
figure that
with
out.
it.
And I don't know where panda came from, but I'm down.
Dave's like, I'll try anything once.
Pandas shouldn't exist.
What? Do you know?
Pandas shouldn't exist.
Do you know what bears have for breakfast? Panda cakes.
They have panda cakes. Yes, you have a son. That's a dad joke.
Yes,
that
it
you put
is.
in there.
Oh, I have a lot of
Pandas
panda
shouldn't
jokes.
exist. If human beings need to teach you how to screw, you've been selected. Natural selection says you have no... Look.
Yeah.
It's not like, okay, they didn't adapt to modern economies. It's not like deforestation, right?
was hoping
It's
you'd
the
say that.
fun part of biological evolution.
But they're yin and yang.
For a reason.
They're chocolate and vanilla.
And they get scared
They got
when
so
you
much
sneeze.
bamboo to eat.
All right, so let's get into the Fauci emails here. You guys have all read about this, right? And Dave, you've been reading these emails?
Yes,
following
yes.
through? Yeah.
They're
All of
quite
them.
alarming.
It's a lot. It's a lot to absorb, and we did a short version yesterday. But there's more to. A lot of people just think it's about him, being dishonest about masks. We'll get to that, but there's more than that here. Look, the biggest controversies here have been what? That was there any information that it was a Wuhan lab leak?
Right.
Could this have been engineered? All of these were denied, of course, by Fauci. What happened with the masks? Did he have some information there? Right. And then, of course, a lot of people tried to accuse Donald Trump of muzzling Fauci. These were the big controversies, right? That Donald Trump was anti-science. We know, beyond any shadow of a doubt, that none of those are true, and it's worse than that. So first, let's start this off with the man of the hour who's been right about everything, Rand Paul. Every time they've gone tit for tat, you just wait 2 weeks and you put one on the scoreboard for Senator Rand Paul. As bitchy as he can be, he still was right. Here we go.
The emails paint a disturbing picture of Dr. Fauci from the very beginning worrying that he had been funding gain-of-function research. And he knows it to this day, but hasn't admitted. But really, there's a lot of evidence that he has a great deal of conflict of interest, and that if it turns out this virus came from the Wuhan lab, which it looks like it did, that there's a great deal of culpability in that he was a big supporter of the funding, but he also was a big supporter to this day of saying we can trust the Chinese on this. We can trust the Chinese scientists. And I think that's quite naive and really should preclude him from the position that he's in. 2 weeks ago in committee hearing, he said they did not fund any gain-of-function research. I quoted that specific paper.
Right.
So the very paper that he puts in the email, he says, oh my goodness, we need to read this paper because looks like we are actually funding gain-of-function research, which is where we juice up these viruses, take them from animals and infect them into humans. He's admitting that to his underling. He's worried about this in February of last year.
Could there be criminal culpability here? A fraud or ongoing collaboration with the Chinese when he was making excuses for them?
At the very least, there's moral culpability.
Now, two things. It's always funny when you have a side-by-side of Rand Paul and Fauci, because you have one guy who deserves to be swirlied and one guy who looks like a toilet brush.
Yeah,
It's true.
they work together. Good.
Fauci also looks like a
combo.
virus wearing a person costume.
Yes, exactly. Like you take it off and it'll just be those characters in Dr. Mario.
Yes, exactly. There's something.
Just throw more pharmaceuticals at it that are a part of the company on which I sit on the board. So, look, this is something important. And also the other thing, I said two things. I don't know that you can accuse Fauci of perjury. I don't know if you can accuse him of, because he's taken two sides on every issue.
Right.
I understand that science is developing. It's a developing process. Here's the issue. He would say science is settled, and then policy was made. And then he would pull a 180. That's not the same as saying, hey, we're in the process of testing a hypothesis, so let's be cautious. No. You said it's settled, it's natural, social distancing, lockdowns, and we devastated the economy. Then said, oh, maybe it doesn't work. That's very different. Don't hide behind science. And by the way, it must be a very short science block. I don't think, I wouldn't be surprised if we do some digging and he got some of that midget money in college. If you're under 5 feet, you get midget money. I know this because I knew a midget who was living high on the hog while all my friends were struggling with debt.
Oh my gosh.
You're telling me I could have had free college?
Dave, well.
That you are actually the most unfortunate because just barely you miss it.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, they laugh at me.
Well, look, they laugh at you and you don't get the Uncle Sam dollar.
It's the only time I'm too tall.
In your life. Well, look, it's not only that what Fauci said with flipping and going back and forth, is that people lost their livelihoods because they disagreed with him.
Right.
And he knew that those things that we've talked about, and we'll get into details on each, that they were possible, that they were still in process. The investigations were ongoing.
Yes. So
and he didn't stand up and say anything.
Let's get to these clips.
Yeah.
So let me show you what Dr. Fauci was saying. And I use that term loosely, doctor. Usually a doctor should see a patient.
At least once.
Yeah.
Or we should know where he came from, not just appear a year and a half ago and ruin everyone's life.
He just came out of the water, and the man at the wharf said, Godzilla. Oh, Fauci.
To make sense of now.
High beams no work.
Oh, no.
Need a disinfectant.
Oh, you're screwed.
Just a swirly. Swirly, he no like a swirly.
He really light.
It is a weak point, like a flashing a weak point in a contra. Just a swirly, Dr. Fauci. Hair go brighter.
Only man dumber than the script for Godzilla.
Also, he was a Godzilla script consultant, so
you know.
Bring a great shame.
Full circle.
So, on May 5th, he was talking about, people were questioning, is there a possibility that this is man-made?
Is that Cinco de Mayo?
Publicly, he was saying, no. Here you go.
Do you believe, or is there evidence that SARS-CoV-2 was made in a lab in China or accidentally released from a lab in China?
Well, there's two issues. If you look at the evolution of the virus in bats and what's out there now, it's very, very strongly leaning towards this could not have been artificially or deliberately manipulated, the way the mutations have naturally evolved. A number of very qualified evolutionary biologists have said that everything about the stepwise evolution over time strongly indicates that it evolved in nature and then jumped species.
Now, I'm not saying that is not true, but you said not possible at that point. He kind of couched his words, but at one point he said not possible.
I think he
And it's
couches
true.
every word.
He does.
He's like, it kind of maybe possibly.
And that's a problem because a doctor shouldn't effectively be running for office. I think he's the highest paid person in the federal government right now. I think it's like 800,000 what he makes. Only twice what the president makes. And listen, I'm not saying that he has to be perfect. Said 20 million Americans would be dead by 92 from AIDS. Big swing and a miss, but at least he swung the bat. In a bathhouse. Do some research on Fauci. Some really messed up. This isn't new. I knew everything that I needed to know about him looking back to the AIDS pandemic. This guy is I don't know if I'm not allowed to question authoritative sources. If we just call him a dick, is that okay? Questioning a dick like Fauci.
Well, if he wasn't a bathhouse in the 80s.
Yeah.
That's fine.
That was really, he just wanted funding for his own medical issues. Like, I'm telling you, everyone's going to have AIDS. Couldn't be that you spent 9 days in a row in a Russian bathhouse without coming up for air. No, it's going to affect everyone, including monogamous heterosexual couples. I don't know how this happened.
It just makes common sense.
Of course it does. Thank you very much.
All right, so that was in May.
Yeah.
January 31st, 2020. Now we go to the emails. Fauci forwarded a Science magazine article titled Mining Coronavirus Genomes for Clues to the Outbreak Origins to immunologist Kristen Anderson and British medical researcher Jeremy Farrar. Fauci wrote, this just came out today. You may have seen it. If not, it is of interest to the current discussion. This is about it potentially being manipulated.
Right.
The reply from Anderson to Fauci read, and I want to be really clear here, this was a reply to him. So Fauci said, hey, this came out, seems like it's a concern. He just said many qualified virologists and evolutionary biologists say it came from nature. Well, again, that's the lie by omission because there were many medical experts who said that's not likely. But guess what? They all got banned.
No.
And we'll get to the policy of big tech in a second. This is what was sent back to Fauci from a qualified virologist or immunologist or I don't know. On a phylogenetic tree, the virus looks totally normal, and the close clustering with bats suggests that bats serve as the reservoir. The unusual features of the virus make up a really small part of the genome, about 0.1%, so one has to look really closely at all the sequences to see that some of the features potentially look engineered. We have a good team lined up to look very critically at this, so we should know more by the end of the weekend. Now, should be clear, he's since defended his comments, and he said that the analysis said the virus was not man-made. That would seem like, open and shut, if it was the only example that we had.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's not.
And it's an ongoing process, right? He said that you had to look really closely to see some of those things looked engineered. I'm like, okay, were you able to work in China and actually get all of the data to make sure, right? Did you address the theory of a bat's 1,000 miles away that were in hibernation? Did you go through all these processes and definitively rule it out? No, you never made that comment. What you did is you had Fauci coming out and saying, it looks most likely like this, and they use that to ban people.
And keep in mind, and this is why we're not going to live in a culture of self-censorship, of fear anymore. We were warned, okay? And so we weren't allowed to talk about this back then. But Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter have changed their official policy where it's no longer a conspiracy. Right. We're allowed to have these discussions now. If we had this discussion 3 months ago, hard strike or a ban. Yep. And I got to tell you, I need some new conspiracy theories.
These are
boring, I don't have any left.
It's getting difficult.
They're just facts.
Well, I think it's best to try to prove the facts once it's too late.
Yes, exactly.
I've always
after
said
it
that.
could save lives.
Yes, it's very important.
Yeah, and after you've banned everybody for
so
talking.
that's
and in that video, he's just wearing like a Mob Don suit.
Right.
Got a golden Blockbuster logo behind him. he just sucking a Werther's original. You notice he always got something in his mouth? I think it's Werther's.
Yeah, I think
He's
it's
like,
hydroxychloroquine because he wants it all for him.
Probably true.
I eat these like M&Ms. All for me, none for you.
It's just a zinc vitamin D
You
tablet.
get nothing. Yeah, and by the way, I've talked about this. Again, I haven't been on YouTube, but let me ask you this, and you guys can comment. I'm going to move on down the list here with a whole lot of crap that many of you may not know. We've gone through all of the emails.
Yeah.
If we knew what we know now about this virus, that it potentially leaked from a lab, and again, I'm willing to bet my bottom dollar that it does. Why? Because it was already a one issue. It would be like if tomorrow, all of a sudden the media said, well, maybe there was some kind of election issue. You go, wait, hold on a second. You said nothing. You said there were no election shenanigans, and you removed anyone who talked about it. Why are you addressing it now? It's because they have to get out in front of something. So Donald Trump launched an investigation. He said, leaked from a lab. Joe Biden said that was racist. Fauci said no way. We had an election, and now we're saying seems more likely than not, or at least as likely, that it leaked from a lab. Do you think that if Americans knew that changes the election? Let me offer you this. I think it's the difference in a narrative going into the election, disregarding the Hunter Biden story, which would have caused 12% of Biden voters to switch their vote. It's a narrative that switches from Donald Trump mishandled the pandemic to a declaration of war from China, effectively. Who do you think?
Yeah.
You think that might have affected the American people's vision, considering that Donald Trump was saying, don't trust China, Biden saying, China, all is good. Same thing with Fauci. So, again, he said he trusted China. Here's another email. February 1st. Again, before that video that you saw, Fauci emailed the same article. Sorry, go ahead.
No, the other side of that coin, though, could be that, people were worried that it was because of Trump that China had that, wanted to come after us. Let's just say that.
Well, I don't think it was deliberate. I think it was an accident.
No, but I'm saying if there's any potential whatsoever, it could have also changed where it does change the election even more in Biden's favor. So why the cover-up?
I don't think it would, because, again, Donald Trump he wasn't saying this was deliberate. He's saying, look, this is a leak, and now they're trying to cover it up.
I'm just trying to stay on the channel.
No,
well, look,
I don't believe what I said either just now.
I was like, ooh,
I'm just
look
saying,
at him playing a devilish advocate.
Yes, I'm just saying the other side of the coin because I'm trying to figure out what an idiot would say. And clearly, look at me.
You're going to have to think about it. Look, I think it at the very least, it wasn't racist. And that's what they claimed.
Xenophobic.
That's what they said. And racist. Over and over. Donald Trump couldn't even say this.
And most important...
Says a guy dressed as sushi.
Right.
Listen.
Very serious
most important of all, wasn't racist.
Yeah.
And saying kung flu, woo flu from a sitting president was incredibly funny.
Yeah, and it was
Very
pushback.
funny. Come on.
It was pushback.
I've never been prouder of my country than to see a sitting president make puns at another nation's expense, especially a communist, corrupt one. He's like, the kung flu. He's waiting for a gong. All right, we'll work on it.
We'll get that element next time.
So,
where's my
whereas, Joe Biden hears a gong. Anytime he hears a gong, he assumes he lost something. Like, gong. All right, I guess the other guy got it. So, February 1st, 2020, Fauci emailed the same article, Mining Coronavirus Genomes for Clues to the Outbreak's Origins, to Principal Deputy Director at the National Institute of Allergies and Infectious Diseases, the guy named Auchinclaus. I don't know. He replied, all the sources available at louderwithcrowder.com. He replied, the paper you sent me says the experiments were performed before the gain of function pause, but have since been reviewed and approved by NIH. Not sure what that means, since Emily is sure that no coronavirus work has gone through the P3 framework. She will try to determine if we have any distant ties to this work abroad, to which Fauci applied, okay, stay tuned, but we weren't tuned. I guess it wasn't the same Fauci time or channel.
Yeah, different channel, apparently. I'm sorry, so gain of function pause.
Yeah.
Doesn't something have to be ongoing to be paused?
You would think.
Yeah.
Even my 97-year-old grandmother-in-law with the big blue pause button on her VCR, she's figured it out.
Pause.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, and it also isn't a gain of function stop. Right. It is a gain of function pause, which means there is a possibility that they would restart it. I mean, can Fauci lie any further?
Well, here's something, too. We don't know that he knew gain of function, okay? But we do know that money from the United States went to this institute, which, of course, conducted, very likely, gain-of-function research. It's like saying money that goes to Planned Parenthood doesn't go to abortion. It goes to, they don't do breast. They don't have mammogram machines. They've never had a mammogram machine, right? And behind the scenes, Fauci was already very concerned that gain-of-function had gone on.
Yeah.
That's very different from what he told the media, saying, no, you have it absolutely, completely incorrect. Well, good enough for me. Sounds like Donald Trump's going to attempt a coup in August. Who told you? I don't know, Madeleine Albright. They don't care. Oh, by the way, we have to check. Let's check in with CNN. They have. Okay, no, it's another commercial break. Yeah, we can just continue. Is it?
It's catchy.
Is it a commercial?
Autonomous systems. この理由だ。お前はもう死んでいる。お願い先生。Level 4 Body Armor Plate 7つの滞在。何？お願い先生。Hercules Level 4 Plate 7つの滞在。黒の執事。ドリアンド6。お前はもう死んでいる。Go to SpartanArmorSystems.com to get highest quality American-made body armor and save 10% using promo code CROWDER.
I don't. The thing is, I'm just the only thing that bothers me is he was dressed like a Ninja Turtle from the third movie in China. I don't know.
So
yeah, that's right.
I love her hair.
Yeah. Well, you wear it.
Good taste.
Who wore it better? Of course she did. I love our sponsors. This is why we do so few ads, because most sponsors would just read the outline. And they go, no, we're going to go sell Nature Box on H3.
Yeah, you got to have balls to.
By the way, let me just get this. So some of the 10 by 12 plates
for a box of raisins.
Yeah, some of the 10 by 12 plates out there, they actually only protect like an 8 by 10 area. The Spartan Hercules, they're level. Is it level 3 or is it level 4? Level 4 plates actually protects the full 10 by 12. It's curved. It really is the most comfortable plate out there, and it has whatever the coating is, so that you don't get the fragments.
It's pretty awesome. It's really
We've
cool.
shot it at the range. We wanted to shoot me here in the studio. I was told that we didn't have enough liability insurance. As a matter of fact, we had it lined up, and I was about to do it until half Asian Bill basically,
he
walked
comes storming into the studio. Stop!
So I was stabbed, axed, and sorted.
Yes, you were. But
That's true,
it was by our weak Asian intern. So come on, let's not complain. SpartanArmorSystems.com. Use the coupon code Crowder. You get 10% off. Great American company. They support the show.
Yes.
We appreciate it. We don't need the Japanese game show thing. That's fine.
Okay.
Okay. Let's go to Fauci. Okay. This is another thing that people are talking about, that he claimed masks were effective publicly at blocking even larger COVID particle. He made the claim that masks work. Okay. This is something he did.
We usually say, well, regular particles that are from, coughing
Scrotum
and
necks.
sneezing, they're greater than 5 micrometers. They tend to fall to the ground within 6 feet. Then we find out from the aerosol particle scholars that say, there are larger particles than that stay floating around a lot longer. So you shouldn't assume they all go to the ground, which adds weight to the role of aerosolization, namely something that'll stay
Speaking
in
of
the
adding
air.
weight,
this is when
the
he
size
does.
of it is something we need to re-examine. So I'm trying to get some of those people to talk a little bit more to us about it. The one thing that it does tell you, it's important, is that you really better wear a mask.
Bro.
Okay.
Stop it.
So, in
Puts me to
February,
sleep,
he wrote to
man.
American University President Sylvia Burwell. And I understand science changes, but he didn't give a reason as to why his science changed. He gave a very emphatic explanation against masks, and then that's kind of, but now we think it maybe works for some stuff. So this is what he wrote. Masks are really for infected people to prevent them from spreading infection to people who are not infected, rather than protecting uninfected people from acquiring infection. And then she responded, Fauci, you are such an infection. Look what you did, you little jerk. Stop it, Uncle Frank. The typical mask you buy in the drugstore is not really effective in keeping out the virus, which is small enough to pass through the material. What? It might, however, provide some slight benefit in keeping out gross droplets if someone coughs or sneezes on you, as I am prone to do when sitting in the middle seat in coach. I do not recommend that you wear a mask, particularly since you are going to a very low-risk location. He recommended someone at the pandemic had already started, who was getting on a flight, not to wear a mask, and in depth explained why it didn't work.
Why not to?
Unbelievable that he's writing that the particles, and people said this. Not us, but people said this and were banned for it. Yeah. Particles will pass through the average mask that people go to the store and buy.
Your husband.
Jeez.
Your husband. Your wife is a nurse.
Yeah.
Yes,
and your
my
wife,
husband is a doctor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, he's a Saudi prince.
Your wife was a nurse, and she said, look, the reason that there's a shortage is because you can't use the mask more than once. You use it once, and then you have to basically touch it with hands that have been disinfected, take it off, throw it out, a disposable mask. And we didn't have the ability to sanitize the kinds of masks. A lot of hospitals still don't. Are you fondling your mask?
No,
I'm not fondling my mask.
I've spent my
It's
whole
just
life
killing these
wearing
cheap
a
masks. That's it. No more cheap masks. No. Name that reference.
I'm just seasoning it.
So here's the thing. It changed the science. Why did the science change? Why did the science change?
I don't know, but what kind of an idiot puts the correct thing in writing and sends it to someone?
Someone, you know what? Someone who doesn't fear accountability.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Someone who doesn't think that anyone might do some digging. And again, why do we think there was an FOI request from BuzzFeed and Washington Post? People right now are trying to get out ahead of this. They're treating Fauci very differently. Why? Public opinion has turned. They want to make him the fall guy. They wanted to make him the expert. Governor Whitmer had a hump pillow in her office of Fauci.
Mental image.
And now we make it. Now they want to act like, oh, we don't know how we feel about Fauci. Well, that just changed very recently, and we know why. Okay, so Fauci claimed that the initial mask guidance changed because the science changed, which would stand to reason.
Right.
But now we have a tail of the tape. But let's go to the clip first.
So I'm hoping that you can tell us a bit more.
Oh my gosh! If you were an alien geneticist and this was the first thing you saw,
and maybe
you'd just go to your home planet and say we don't want it
for people around the country.
I'd be like, oh, we've already colonized.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you're dealing with something that's changing in real time, Mark, that's really the nature of science. You look at the data and the information you have at any given time, and you make a decision with regard to policy based on
billionaire.
the information. As the information changes, then you have to be flexible enough and humble enough to be able to change how you think about things. And I think, one of the important things that we're emphasizing
what a humble
right
czar.
now that really
look at his haircut. He's a billionaire.
The situation that did change is our insistence now on wearing masks.
Okay, so the truth is that if you look at the emails, the changing science, look, Fauci said masks don't work. Then he changed his mind from something directly taken from Chinese scientists, who, by the way, of course, work under the Chinese Communist government. We know that. They're one and the same. Some of them want to flee. Fauci doesn't talk about those people. The World Health Organization doesn't talk about those people. The people who, he only trusts the people who are under the thumb of the CCP. So, March 16th, 2020, the email was sent from Michael Liu and included advice from Dr. Zhang, director of the infectious disease department at the Huashan Hospital. The email said, I strongly suggest American people should wear masks like Chinese, South Korean people, etc. Because even China's highest leader, Mr. Xi Jinping, wear mask. To which Fauci replied, thank you for your note. We indeed have learned much from our Chinese colleagues. I appreciate you bringing these issues to our attention. Look, we have learned some things from our Chinese colleagues, okay? Fireworks, noodles, thank you. Not in how to deal with pandemics or medical ethics.
Well, no, I would like to ask a very specific question, and this really pisses me off because he said, oh, the science has changed. You have to be humble. What changed about the science?
Yeah.
Did the virus get smaller or larger so that masks will catch it? Did masks get better at catching viruses that are too small? What changed that made masks effective?
Dr. Fauci says that he trusts the Chinese scientists. And he says, I don't know much about the Chinese government. Well, they work for the Chinese government, but I am willing to take them at their word.
Dave.
Sex robot, I told you to never come to my work.
David, I want my money.
I don't have your money.
Don't give me that death talk. I want my money, David.
You sound like a pimp right now. You're programmed to be a sex slave. Hey,
guys. Do you think what you did to my hard drive comes free?
You told me to ram it. Plus, I owe you money. You ruined the backseat of my Buick.
You ruined the backseat of your Buick, David.
Get out of here. I'm working. Go.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh, jeez.
Unprofessional.
Hey, sex robot. See you later.
Oh, good Lord.
See you later.
All right.
Sweet cheeks.
I've never been more ashamed of our own cultural appropriation month.
Look,
okay.
I don't even know him.
Oh, now the legs are crossed.
Yeah. A minute ago you were
Be
saying.
all modest now.
Well, I knew that there was a stench.
I'm more upset about the use of our budget.
That's true.
That's true. That was actually half this year's budget to make that
money
robot.
nor sex robots grow on trees.
Can I tell you a secret?
I don't know if I'm going to like this.
The robot works.
Okay.
Oh, geez. Look, this isn't bring your sex robot to work day.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It is for him. Then again, every day.
Every day.
Every day for Davis. Bring your sex robot to work day.
Thank you.
And then we're compared to Japan. Hey, they don't have as much gun crime, sure, but they have massive suicide and sex robots. So you know what? I think we should go another direction. Just my opinion. And it's also weird in Japan. Did you know this? If they sleep with their wife once they've been married for a long time, because it's considered like a familial relationship, like a sister.
What?
Yeah, so then they just watch tentacle pornography. My point is, not all cultures are equal. Okay.
They don't share a
Sexually
bed?
frustrated.
No, they sleep behind different, those paper mache walls.
Really?
Yeah.
What about Dick Van Dyke? He didn't sleep with his lady.
Yeah, but they just separated the beds for television. Once it went to the security cameras, oh boy.
Yeah.
They don't call him Dick for nothing.
Jiminy. So, Fauci in April 2020, he denied the possibility, this is another one, that the virus could have come from a lab, which is what we're talking about now. Let's go to the clip.
There was a study recently that we can make available to you where
is he in a moat?
Group of highly qualified evolutionary virologists looked at the sequences there. The sequences
Trump just had him dig a hole in the stage.
I represent the lollipop kill. And the mutations that it took to get to the point where it is now is totally consistent with a jump of a species from an animal to a human.
I'm also a Martin Short character.
The paper will be available.
I'm Grown
I don't
Clifford.
have the authors right now, but we can make that available too.
Also, I would like to welcome you to Pumpkin Land. So there you
I'm standing between two giants.
Get him an apple box or something. That's not fair.
For crying out loud, give him the Tom Cruise treatment.
Something, yeah.
Now, what I love is that Donald Trump didn't.
Oh, yeah.
They were like, should we give him an elevated platform? No! Don't even think about it.
Well,
he can talk as much as he wants down there.
And you know what he's like? Make sure you use the wide shot.
Yes.
Yeah, the wide
Both
one.
of us.
Yeah.
What lens are you using? I don't know, the 24. Bigger!
I want to be in that picture.
I want the Snyder cut.
I need landscape.
Do they still use letterbox? Also, take away his letterbox. The email that Fauci sent on February 22nd, he sent this to Michael Jacobs, talking about this is different from it being engineered.
Yeah.
Could be engineered. This is specifically about it leaking from a lab. So we have evidence of both. This is what it reads. We think that there is a possibility that the virus was released from a lab in Wuhan, the biotech area of China. We also think the virus might be complexed with another organism such as a yeast or fungus. Is he talking about Fauci? To make it more sticky. We would like to discuss this with you further. We feel that immediate action must be taken by the United States scientists to try and neutralize this threat. But that's not all. On April 19th, 2020, you had Peter Daszak. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I don't care. Sources available at louderwithricardo.com. You can correct me. I only pronounce names in American.
Daszak.
He thanked Fauci, which seems weird, again, in writing.
Yeah.
In writing, this, what you're about to hear, is something that if you just said, like at a cocktail party, where Fauci would be carrying around the hors d'oeuvres.
On his head.
Dressed like the Planters Peanuts guy.
A penguin.
Just kiss his forehead.
Welcome to Fantasy Island.
So what's weird is he emailed him in writing, thanking Fauci for dismissing the lab leak theory. Okay? He's a president of EcoHealth Alliance. To be clear, we can bring up this source. The recipient of $3.7 million from the National Institute of Health grant, and $600,000 of that went to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Daszak is also in the team of leading the investigation into the WHO and origins of COVID. So I trust them. I trust him, and I trust the Chinese. I love how WHO says, well, we have investigated them. Really? How'd you run the investigation? They didn't let the Chinese do it. And what did the Chinese say about the Chinese? They didn't do anything wrong. You're bullshitting.
Well, this is kind of explaining where this guy came from out of nowhere for some weird reason. And it's almost like he would have the information.
It's almost like he had the inside lane. That's some industry talk here.
Crazy.
He said, Daszak to Fauci, this is what it reads. I just wanted to say a personal thank you on behalf of our staff and collaborators. I mispronounced criminals. For publicly standing up and stating that the scientific evidence supports a natural origin for COVID-19 from a bat to human spillover, not a lab release from the Wuhan Institute of Virology. From my perspective, your comments are brave, and coming from your trusted voice will help dispel these myths, blah, blah, blah. To which Fauci responded, many thanks. Many thanks for your kind note. I appreciate that you appreciate the lies.
That is unbelievable. Like it matters where this came from. It matters how this happened. It matters that a conversation can occur on which one is the most likely theory. We're not saying that it did.
It only matters if you say it matters. That's the issue here. It only matters if we say it matters. Case in point, no mention of the emails at all today on CNN.
No.
For as long as I've been watching, what are they talking about right now? Matt Gaetz.
Well, they're based.
Oh, that's what they're talking about.
Do you know what they would do to have emails like this from Matt Gaetz and the sex scandal.
It would
look, I haven't talked about it because we don't have any evidence. I have no idea. It could be a total witch hunt, or the guy could be a sex fiend. I don't know. But the point is, CNN has no problem going with the story this morning. Donald Trump saying there might be a coup in August. No sources whatsoever. They're going to spend an hour, probably 45 minutes, at least the D block, talking about Matt Gaetz, just speculating. This is the problem. They say that they are news. News is supposed to present you with facts so that you can make your own decisions. Opinion is speculating on those facts. At CNN, they label news speculation on no facts. On no facts. We provide you with the facts with our own sources. We really do our best. And I let you know, I'm not news, right? I have a slant. Of course I'm biased. And I try to present you my opinion. These facts are available. I encourage you to read all the emails. They don't want to do that. They don't want a light at CNN. They want to operate in the dark.
Exactly.
It just seems odd that it would take over a year to go. Where do you think it came from? A laboratory that makes viruses, or a bat at random?
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
Hibernation.
It didn't take over a year. People were asking this question from the get-go.
Oh, no, I was asking it last January.
I know. Like, everybody was asking this question, and it was a legitimate concern. The only reason that this mattered is because they hated Donald Trump. That's it.
Yeah, of
They
course.
wanted to make
And it was
Donald
election
Trump
year.
look like a bad person, incompetent. He did something wrong, killed hundreds of thousands of Americans.
Racist.
And now you have to vote him out of office. And to your point about the emails right now, I've read every CNN story I could find. 75% of their first story on this was how Fauci was tired and people were sending him notes of condolence. I'm sorry you're having to work so hard. I watched MSNBC and wanted to bleach my eyes more than CNN. They said nobody, when you say something in private and it becomes public, that's really the test of somebody's character. And they said, you have passed the test like no one of us could.
Of course he's tired.
What?
Sugar gliders like him are nocturnal.
That's true, but he didn't. They're praising him for this, Stephen.
Yeah.
All we're doing is pointing out inconsistencies here. They're praising him, saying that his
there's a clip somewhere. I don't have it,
matched.
but someone was saying, I think you passed the test. Where if anyone's emails are released, usually they don't come out with flying colors, but you do. He's like, thank you, I appreciate it.
That was what I was quoting. That was the MSNBC thing that I saw.
There's an urgent care doctor smoking a Marlboro right now who works harder than Fauci.
Exactly.
You kidding me?
There's a sex robot right now smoking a Marlboro working harder than Fauci.
I'm a doctor that works harder than Fauci.
Yes.
I'm not even a doctor.
All right, here's another one, and this is where it all ties together. This is why I say this is the biggest scandal, really, I can think of our lifetime. Remember Fauci in the media, they were constantly claiming that Trump was muzzling him?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? They
That
were
was
saying,
a
like
big-
you were saying,
that was
they were
a big
saying,
claim, yeah.
that he felt much freer under Biden. That Fauci, this is the issue. Donald Trump is anti-science,
Right.
and he hates Fauci because he hates the scientists, right? Again, the narrative was Donald Trump wants to play down the pandemic, and Fauci wanted to sound the alarm, and he wasn't allowed to. No, here's the truth. Donald Trump didn't want the country to panic and devastate our economies, and Donald Trump was, in fact, sounding the alarm vocally, publicly, on China and their untoward actions, and that it was likely a leak, and officially, behind the scenes, in launching an investigation. Fauci was saying, all is well, nothing to see here, but we need to shut down all of your livelihoods. Let's be really clear. Donald Trump was sounding an alarm. Fauci said, nothing to see here. So let's watch the montage of poor Fauci being muzzled.
The West Wing has been muzzling Fauci, adding there were conversations about not letting Fauci talk on TV. They would say he's exaggerating, he's alarmist.
No sign yet that the White House is ready to take the muzzle off of Dr. Fauci when it comes to national TV interviews. He's continuing to do interviews like the one he did on Facebook today in Georgetown a couple of days ago.
Wait, notice again,
says,
no sources back
he's been
then.
telling reporters that he still feels like he's getting his message out, just not the way he would like.
You, for so many times, you stood up behind the podium with Donald Trump standing behind you. That was a different feeling, I'm sure, than it is today. Can you talk a little bit about how you feel kind of released from what you had been doing for the last year?
Yeah, but you said I was joking about it. I was very serious. I can tell you,
That's his
I
laugh?
take no pleasure at all
The guy's
in
wearing a
being in a
muzzle.
situation of contradicting the president. So it was really something that you didn't feel that you could actually say something and there wouldn't be any repercussions about it. The idea that you can get up here and talk about.
By the way, notice
what
how
you
his
know,
shoulders are higher
what
now?
the
They put him on a
evidence-
box.
What the
I'm not
science
joking.
is, and no, that's it. Let the science speak. It is somewhat of a liberating
Look
feeling.
at that now. His shoulders, in the
definitely.
last one, he was reaching up like he was using
Yeah.
Ron Popeil's pocket fisherman.
Yeah.
And right here, now he's standing up here like he's a samurai warrior. They
Yeah.
gave him a box. That's what it is. It's the little things that irritated Fauci.
It feels so much
He
different.
Now,
negotiated
to
a
be
new
clear,
contract.
At the very least, he's a compulsive liar.
Yep.
Okay? Let me show you. How many examples do I have as clear as day that he was not being muzzled from Fauci himself? 3. Okay. He wrote this March 1st, 2020 to the press. Please stay silent since I have not been muzzled. I will be on multiple TV shows and was on Fox this AM. No one is censoring me. March 2nd, 2020, Fauci also wrote, I have been very explicit in stating publicly that I have not been censored or muzzled. I say exactly what I want to say based on scientific evidence. I have stated this on multiple television programs the past few days, including at a major press conference with many, many reporters, including several TV cameras. That sounds like Donald Trump.
Yeah,
including many television reporters, the best reporters with the best lenses. Look at the lenses look at what a lens, right, folks? He says, no, he ended it with this. No censor, no muzzle, free to speak out. Also on March 2nd, in another email, this story is not true. I am not being muzzled or censored.
David.
Okay. Now.
Sex robot, I think I made myself clear earlier. I will talk to you after work.
Yes, you did.
No, David. It's not that.
What?
I have a virus.
You said you had protection.
You better get yourself checked out.
Wait, I don't need to get myself checked out. I'm a human. I can't get computer viruses.
Okay,
Also, I am late. I'm going to get it terminated.
No, you're not getting it terminated. We will raise it together.
Terminated.
No,
Terminated.
we're raising it together.
Okay, that's enough.
I'm proud of you.
Let's
Dave.
just please keep it at home.
Look,
Responsibility,
I
you're taking
happen
it.
to be a robot life.
I don't even know where to begin with those gender roles.
Well,
I have no idea. We look behind you. That's the Z and Zier, okay? We are into a new frontier.
I've
Gotta
asked
add a
him
letter.
not to come here.
It's
okay? I'm sorry.
It's Event Horizon of weird sex stuff.
Well,
not to be confused with Sphere, which is basically the same cover.
Right.
No.
Stop that.
gosh.
Stop.
So
No.
No, stop it.
All right.
I want to go back to Fauci real quick,
Yeah.
though. Now that my sex robot is
I
left, he wrote Fox this AM.
Yeah.
I bet you $1,000 it's because he didn't know what morning to use. I guarantee it. He was like, oh boy, which one is sorrow? AM.
Let's see. Let's see. What did I do? I ate entirely alone in my breakfast nook. I sobbed into my loofah for 20 minutes. I'll just say AM.
Yeah.
I don't need to get as specific as military time because I fear displays of force.
I put on the kid's gangster costume that they sent me so I could have big shoulders in my next talk.
I meditate while looking at a poster of the Burger King's Kids Club because it brings me to a simpler time where I wasn't as fearful because I could hide in the ball pit.
Putting Scott Baio's costume on from Bugsy.
Oh my gosh.
No, what was it? Was it Bugsy?
Was it Bugsy?
Or was it Bonnie and Clyde, maybe?
I have no idea.
Remember the gangster movie?
The point is
but it
Fauci
starred all
sucks.
children?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Was it? No, I don't know.
There's a gangster movie that starred all kids.
Oh,
in the
well, I remember
80s.
Baby Geniuses, and Fauci couldn't make the cut.
No, they're certainly not in that. He wouldn't have made the dog one.
He did play the little guy in Little Giants, though.
That's exactly right.
Yes, he did.
Fauci's responding, by the way, in those emails to people basically saying, look, are you being muzzled?
Yes.
I know you're being muzzled.
Yes.
Blink if you're being held against your will.
And then
Like,
they went
he's like
publicly and said he's
specifically
clearly
no.
being muzzled.
Exactly. And he was like, he actually got pissed off in one of those emails. He's like, all right, stop. Like, for him saying free to speak, no censor, whatever, is him cussing.
Well,
Like,
you know what
that's
this is?
Fauci
Do you know
cussing.
what this is? You're seeing a common thread here. It's all ego. It's all ego. Because let's say he was being muzzled, and I think he probably was less comfortable speaking publicly with Trump because he had some people hold him accountable, right?
Yeah.
There are roles when you work for an administration. You need to
Oh,
clear.
of course, yeah.
And so I think that's the case. But I think as a very small man, they're saying, "Are you being muzzled?" It's like saying, "Hey, how many are you now?" No, I'm a big boy. I'm not muzzled. I'm an adult. I can say whatever I want. And then when he leaves, he goes, yeah, I'm more powerful than the president. They didn't let me speak, but now I'm going to give you the real truth. In other words, hey, you were also wrong about masks. No, the science changed. How did you find it? Xi Jinping told me I better do it or he's going to swirly me. And there, it goes in the reverse direction, I think, like Australia. And my hair won't look right.
I have a Dr. Fauci hump pillow.
Yeah.
Because nothing does it like me.
It's like a wrestling buddy, only it doesn't stand up to the wear and tear, like me.
It's best just to let him finish, Clark.
So and this goes back to big tech.
Turn on
too.
the microwave.
So you have media.
Biden shits his pants.
Keep in mind, CNN, MSNBC, these people we're talking about. We used to think that YouTube, we used to think that new media would allow, and there was a moment in time where this was true. It allowed people like us, like you, to get past the gatekeepers, because you can go directly to your audience. But now this wasn't the case 5 years ago. Our consultants, they are on boards. We don't really know who's on these boards, but we know Southern Poverty Law Center. We know that with YouTube they have community guidelines, advertiser-friendly guidelines, and then borderline.
Yeah.
And you don't really know who's in charge of any of them. We do know that CNN is at least on one. PolitiFact is at least on one.
Yeah.
Washington Post. So now they control what is available informationally to 95% of you in America. If Facebook, Twitter, YouTube decide that you're just not going to hear a story, you're not going to hear about the lab leak.
Yeah.
If they decide you're not going to hear from President Donald Trump, guess what? You're not going to hear from President Donald Trump. And then if he starts a blog, they're going to throttle him in the search on Google. It's run by a handful of people, and I want to show you how complicit they were here with Dr. Fauci. This is also the problem with hero worship. When you look at the people of big tech, and of course, they have to acquiesce to China, right? This is why you look at the censorship of the Hong Kong protests. This is why you look at the censorship of anyone who went against the World Health Organization. This is a group of people. They see themselves, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, the people at Google, Jack Dorsey, they see themselves as kings. You're a plebe, right? That's how they, and so when they say, oh, wait, a medical pandemic, it's not, we want to trust the scientific process, the scientific community, who were split on these theories. It's give unto us a king. And so it wasn't trust science, it was give unto us a king, Fauci. And Fauci didn't know what he believed, but it determined policy and probably why you may or may not have been removed from these platforms. Let me give you some examples here. On March 5th, 2020, Zuckerberg emailed Fauci thanking him for his service and offering to help get the message out. Here's the email. I wanted to send a note of thanks for your leadership and everything you're doing to make our country's response to this outbreak as effective as possible. I also wanted to share a few ideas of ways we could help you get your message out, but I understand you're incredibly busy, so don't feel a need to reply unless these seem interesting. Here's my question, and I'm going to get to the big tech policies in a second. Guys, let me go with this. Can we get an FOIA request? Did he send that out to any of the scientists who were blowing the whistle? Hey, how about the Chinese scientist? Was it Li Meng? I can't remember the name. Yeah. Who left, defected, like Moscow on the Hudson? Did they send that email? Hey, thanks for your bravery. Thanks for blowing the whistle. We would really like to help you. Mark Zuckerberg here, Susan Wojcicki here. Hey, we'd really like to help you make sure that you get this information out because we think it's important for the public to know it. I'd be willing to bet my bottom dollar no. But they wanted to put Fauci on your homepage, who said, don't believe these people who are actually risking life and limb. These Chinese scientists who have decided to go rogue, who have said this is what happened. And by the way, half of the scientific community with whom I'm communicating behind the scenes, don't trust them, trust what I say. And he's got the leaders of the Communist Party on speed dial. When you look at this, the leaders of the Chinese government on speed dial because, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. Did Zuckerberg, Dorsey, Wojcicki, did any of them reach out to people who were more qualified than Fauci who were sounding the alarm? We know they banned doctors.
Yeah.
We know they banned doctors. We know they banned one of our videos.
Yeah.
For saying that it went against what? The World Health Organization. Okay, now let's go to Zuckerberg, behind the scenes, kind of an influential guy, emailing Fauci saying, hey, how can we work together? Do you think this may have something to do with the policy? Okay, the net result. YouTube's policy. YouTube doesn't allow content that spreads medical misinformation that contradicts local health authorities or the WHO's medical information about COVID-19. Natural, man-made, Taiwan doesn't exist. Facebook. We remove content that repeats other false health information, primarily about vaccines that are widely debunked by leading health organizations such as the World Health Organization and the CDC. Hold on a second. What does that mean? Because now Facebook has just changed their policy.
Yeah.
They've just said, okay, we'll allow the lab leak theory. I don't think it was a theory, and I don't know why you reached it. Well, I know exactly why. But I'm asking you guys comment. This is important. Just smash that like button if you're watching right now. And God forbid, I don't think we've done anything here that should warrant it being removed. But who knows? Because some of these emails from Fauci that I've just read go against the fucking CDC. Okay? Let's be clear.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that I've just read contradicts the guidelines right now, and it's from Fauci. So I don't know the context or if I'm going to be the one left holding the bag. But Facebook said now that theory is allowed. That theory is allowed in our platform. I don't know about YouTube if they made an official announcement. Well, why was it a theory when half of the medical community and the current sitting president had launched an investigation into it based on probable cause? The only reason you determined that it wasn't a theory is because the Chinese Communist government said it wasn't, and Fauci agreed. And that is a scary place. This isn't just about conservative, centrist. This is about removing voices from the table so that you can't know the truth. And look, wherever you line up on COVID, lockdowns, no lockdowns, masks, no masks, if you've been vaccinated, if you think 4-year-olds need to be vaccinated, I'm not here to talk about that. I'm just asking you, left, right, center, gender queer, don't you think that we would all be better off if the scientists and the president sounding the alarms, saying, hey, this may be coming from a lab. This may be man-made. And by the way, there are some measures that need to be taken. You guys are going in the wrong direction. If they were wrong, how would that hurt a democratic conversation? How would that hurt a free society? Because we now know, without any shadow of a doubt, that it would have helped in the form of millions of lives saved and potentially an entirely different electoral map. So, yeah, that's what. And by the way, I am going to say we're going to play newest gender pronouns. We can't play this on YouTube.
I have to go real quick.
So I'd say piss off YouTube. What's that?
What?
What?
Really weird.
Where's he headed?
Wait, what was that? What's happening? No.